So I'm here in my FileMaker Server 17 admin console under Configuration and SSL certificate. Now you'll notice that the default certificate, which is intended only for test purposes, is still installed here. So what you're really going to want to do is import a custom certificate. Now in FileMaker Cloud, you get an option here to do a Komodo certificate that's directly linked, and it also comes with a 90-day trial Komodo certificate, which is kind of nice. But here on FileMaker Server, it's you want to do it yourself. So you really want to install an SSL certificate as soon as possible. Now you'll notice here that unlike the previous version of FileMaker, you can't generate a CSR, which is a certificate signing request, directly in this admin console. So you actually have to go and do that in the command line itself. So if you open up your command line here, now if I do help certificate, you'll see that it gives me the help for certificate, and it says valid certificate operations are create, import, and delete. So what I can do is I can actually delete the certificate, the old one here. So if I do fms admin delete certificate, or sorry, certificate delete, really delete certificate? Yes, so that's going to delete my trial certificate. It's going to ask for my admin username and password to do so. And restart the FileMaker Server service to apply the change. So I could do services.msc. It's going to launch my services. I'm going to want to log out of the admin console for this because that's going to restart. So I'm going to log out of that. And then go to FileMaker Server and hit restart the service. So that will complete the change. So after that's done, I'm going to go back and issue my new certificate signing request, which will also create a private key during that process. Now for setting up an SSL certificate on FileMaker Server 17, the first place you're going to want to start is with the CSR, that's Certificate Signing Request. This is kind of an identity card for your server that you will give to the certificate provider so that they can validate and issue you a certificate. Now, this is done on the command line with the fms admin utility, the certificate command, and then the create subcommand. And that takes two parameters that we're interested in here. This is all one big parameter, and this is the name of the certificate, the details you need, including the domain name that you're setting up. In this case, it's fms.filemaker.defcon2018.com, the organization name, the country, which is the country code, US, GB, that type of thing, JP for Japan, and then the state, which is Ohio, and the locality, which for me is Columbus. Now the second parameter here is actually the key file pass parameter, -- key file pass. And what this does is it takes this password and it uses that as the secure password for your private key file, so that it adds security to your private key, so that when you go to import your certificate, you can use that password to validate the opening and decryption of that private key. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, right-click copy, and I'm going to go back over to my command line, and if I right-click once, it will paste that for me, so I don't have to type all this out. And if I get any errors, it will let me do this over again. So I'm going to just hit enter. It's going to ask me for my admin console username and password, and hopefully I get that, which is an empty command line. Now that's what you want to see. It's not going to give you a success message, it's just going to give you an empty command line because there were no errors. Now for me to go find that CSR that I just generated, I want to go to my C drive, Program Files, FileMaker, FileMaker Server, and then this folder which is called C Store. Now under this folder, the CStore folder, you're going to find a few files that it generated as a result of that. All of these 7:22, 8:03 p.m. ones, or 8:10 p.m. ones, I should say, were generated. So there's three here: the key store, the server key, and the server request. The server request.pem file is actually your certificate signing request, and you'll see that when you open it in a text editor, it says begin certificate signing request. So now that I have this information, I'm ready to go take this certificate request to my certificate vendor and ask them for my SSL certificate. Now the private key file is also here. That's serverkey.pem, and if you open that up, you'll see that it says begin encrypted private key. So this will validate our certificate on the way back when we want to install it. So now that we've got our CSR, let's go and register that SSL certificate.